Hi, I'm Mark Petrosillo here with men's soccer player Scott Bennett, field hockey, women's basketball, and softball player Teresa Hendricks, head men's basketball coach Rob Santacola, associate professor of business administration John Zarula, faculty athletic representative Dr. Kathleen Clemens, and academic support coordinator Shana Webster, and professor of physical education Dr. Amy Rady. So the true essence of Division III athletics is the full integration of our student athletes into the campus culture. In Division III, the NCAA recognizes the classroom as the primary setting for preparing student athletes. However, Division III also understands that academics are more than just GPAs, test scores, and majors. It's a comprehensive learning experience that develops successful leaders and professionals. So the first question I ask is, how do you believe our student athletes here at St. Joe's balance academic and athletic demands?
Well, I guess I could start out by just saying that we have a very, very exciting athletic program here at St. Joseph's College. And the incredibly interesting thing about the program is that our student athletes here at St. Joseph's College actually have a slightly higher grade point average than our non-student athletes. And there are a lot of reasons for that, and one of the reasons for that is the set of programs that our coaches put together in concert with our faculty members to make sure that the work is being done by our very good student athletes. So we're excited about that, and we're very, very excited about the fact that their grade point averages are actually a little bit higher than non-student athletes, and it's not that way in other colleges.
I'd like to interject and say, from the academic support services side, our student athletes are very good about balancing their time in between resources. They're accessing resources through their coaches, through our office, through the tutors, and really making sure that they are performing both on the field and in the classroom at the highest level they can.
I would say as a professor in the classroom, probably the most effective piece for me is that the students always let us know exactly when they have games, when they're going to be out. It helps us plan our curriculum, our testing sessions, so that we know how we can best help them. There's a lot of communication between the professors and the athletic department.
I know we're talking a lot about the student athletes, but I think their success also happens because of the professors and the faculty on campus, how much, in my role, how much they're talking to me and questioning where a student athlete might be, or just taking an interest in that student athlete's academics, but also their athletics. It plays an important role, I think, for that student to show up to class, be prepared, because they know that they care about them not just on the field, but that they do well in the classroom too.
I guess this question can start with Scott and Teresa. What do you feel is the toughest challenge that you as student athletes face?
I'd say the toughest part for me would be like the fluctuation of times, whether it's games, practices. Sometimes they're set, sometimes you're like kind of changing around last minute, switching with another team for practice. So it's kind of finding those hours where you can get in some study time and be able to do some homework just real quick. Balancing time management is kind of a challenge at times.
Yeah, time management I think is like the big thing for a student athlete. As they all said though, coaches here definitely push for students to be students first and then athletes. There are many systems set up for us to be able to achieve that. I think the hardest thing during a season for a student athlete here is sleep, honestly for me. With classes, school, I think the hardest thing is like once you're run down.
Can the faculty answer any tough challenges that you think student athletes may face that you've noticed in the classroom?
I think one of the largest problems or the issues that the student athlete experiences here is the fact that they have to prioritize. And often the student athlete will be responsible for completing assignments when other students are off going to parties or events. And we have students who realize that it's more important to get their work done than for them to go out and enjoy themselves in some type of environment. And the one thing that I did want to mention is that I have the utmost of respect for the coaches here because they know that academics will always precede the athletics, and therefore it's wonderful to be able to work with a group of men and women coaches and the athletic director, where everybody knows how important and significant academics are to the students.
I think the toughest thing that I see for students in the classroom is when they actually have to miss a class because of a game. They want to be in class. They let us know certainly when they can't be, but I think that troubles some of our student athletes. On the other hand, the majority of them have partners. I always notice they'll say to me in an email, I'm going to miss this class, but so-and-so is going to be taking notes for me and getting me caught up. And I know that that happens. And more often than not, the partner is another athlete from a different team, because they understand what they're going through and how clearly they need those notes written for them.
So I think we understand that being a student athlete is a big commitment. How would you say that it prepares student athletes for a job after graduation?
Well, I would say we were talking about time management for the longest period of time, and everyone has so eloquently talked about the importance of time management. One of the first things that we do here at St. Joseph's is have many of our student athletes go through some type of introduction to management class. And what that does is help, and Robert, I think you might have been one of those, as a matter of fact. And we try to get that done as early as we possibly can. And one of the reasons we try to do that is because we want to hone the time management skills of our student athletes. We not only want to do it for the purposes of them being more successful here at college, but we want to do it for the purposes of them being more successful when they go out into the real world, because eventually we all have to do that, right? When they get out into the real world, time management skills actually become more important than they are in school. So we think we prepare them for that in those ways.
So along with time management, Scotty and Teresa, what do you believe that being a student athlete has instilled in you, values that you can take to the job force?
I'd say it's a big part is reliability. Teachers rely on you if you're going to miss your classes for games or practices, that they can count on you to fulfill your duties as a student and turn in quizzes or homework that you have due. Also, I'd say kind of leadership in a way. Like you lead on the field, you lead off the field. You're setting good examples for your teammates, your classmates. So I think that will take you into life after graduation.
A couple things I think that you get from being an athlete are problem-solving skills. All the different team camaraderies that there are, having to work with different people, trying to figure out when you're going to do what. Those are a bunch of different types of problem-solving skills that I think can carry outside of classroom and into a work area.
Teresa, can you talk about, both of you, talk about your major, what you hope to do with it after you leave, and Teresa, for you, like the three-sport athlete aspect. So just kind of give us your story a little bit so we can throw that on the video.
Do you just want me to talk about myself?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a physical education major. After I graduate, I want to be able to teach and coach, and hopefully on the side do some personal training as well. I'm a three-sport athlete here at St. Joe's, playing field hockey, basketball, and softball. I'm also president of the class and involved in other clubs, such as SAC. I think being involved here at the school, and I know other athletes feel the same, have allowed us to grow in so many different areas. The friendships we've created, getting to know our professors on more of a personal level, asking about games, it's allowed us to make connections, and I don't know what else you can add it through there.
Yeah, same to you, Scott.
I'm a sports management business major. I plan on starting out working for a park and rec department, working on building up youth sports in a community. I'm an only child, so my cousins have kind of played that little sibling role for me, and I enjoy working with them and seeing kids just grow in physical education and in athletics in general. The overall goal is to become an athletic director at a high school, and then from there advance on to being an athletic director at a college, hopefully. I'm a part of the men's soccer team. I'm a captain for the team, so like those duties have kind of got me into that athletic role, like mindset of being able to advise and take over like a program. I'm a member of SAC with Teresa here. SAC consists of 2 members from each sport, and then we all get together and we're the representatives for St. Joe's, who also in turn are representative of the GNAC, and we just work on integrating the students on campus with the athletes as well, so we try to get that involvement.
And real quickly, can each of our visitors, our guests, just kind of talk about their athletic experience, played in college, played in high school, anything like that, so we could throw that on the clip too, would be a neat thing to add.
I was a student athlete myself in New Jersey, and one of the things that I found pretty interesting is that time management was the skill I think I learned most importantly while I was in college. The other thing that was pretty interesting is being a little bit older than the rest of the crew here. It was more than a few years ago that I graduated, probably more than a few decades ago that I graduated from college. And the relationships that you make as student athletes in college stay with you for the rest of your life. It's just coincidental that this weekend, we had people visiting us from New Jersey and Pennsylvania, fellow student athletes on the same sports teams that, we were on in college many, many, many years ago. Those relationships never die. And that's one of the values, I think, of being a student athlete here at St. Joseph's College. Even though the student athletes may not realize it when they're in college, but those relationships that they develop while they're in college will never leave them. And that's an exciting thing.
I was a field hockey player. I love the sport to this day. And I think outside of all the obvious that we've talked about in terms of time management and learning, how to do multiple things, I think in terms of sports for me, I learned who I was as a person, and I learned sometimes the inner capacity that you do have, because there are a lot of days, and I'm sure it's true of our students, you really don't want to get up and you really don't want to practice, and the truth is you get up and you go, and that translates fairly nicely into a work environment too, because you learn what you're made of, and you learn if you just give it that one more step, you'll succeed. I think that's what I took away from it.
I was a gymnast in high school, a varsity gymnast in high school and in college in New York. And after being a gymnast, I went on to be an official. But I have to say that being a gymnast at the collegiate level gave me an opportunity to really get to know my coach and to know about him and what he did as he was an athlete. And it gave me an extension into his background. So the relationship that often athletes have with their coaches is an unusual and very special relationship. And in many regards, it often is one in which that coach is somebody that he or she looks to for advice, for guidance, and for structure. And there's a type of respect that is established between the two, which is unique to almost any other relationship.
Proud alum of St. Joseph's College, class of '99. I think going through the athletic program here taught me, dependability. Not only did the 15 guys on the team count on you, but so did your professors counted on you of showing up to class when you got back from a road trip at 1 in the morning, and they count on you being in class to set that example and make sure you're there. So, and it's kind of now taken a different role for me now. Being a parent, my kids are going to count on me being a father, and a husband like my wife is going to count on me as well. So I think it taught me so much, and like Teresa said, St. Joe's allowed you to grow. And I think coming from New York, coming to Maine, I never would have that opportunity to grow if I didn't come to St. Joe's.
So the NCAA has made a point to charge institutions with integrating athletics and academics. One way we're trying to do this is by this faculty panel video. Also last year we recognized some faculty at the halftime of a basketball game. Can you suggest any other ways that we can integrate faculty with athletics?
Well, I think one of the things that we might consider continuing to do is have professors come to as many athletic events as they possibly can. And one of the things that I notice here at St. Joseph's College is that happens a lot. Coach Sanicola has a lot of professors going to all of those home games here at the college. The professors enjoy it, and I think the student athletes enjoy it as well. It develops a camaraderie not only between the students, but between the professors and the students. And interestingly enough, what I find here at St. Joseph's College is that you'll occasionally find professors that actually go to away games, you know, that want to see games. So I think professors are very, very much involved, and I don't think it would be a bad idea to encourage even more professors to come to athletic events. It's a moment and a time of pride for the college.
I think it might be fun to have some type of basketball or some other activity where you have student athletes and faculty members, where the teams would be composed of student athletes and faculty, where they would be on the same team as opposed to being against each other, so that they would work together. I also think it might be nice if student athletes and faculty worked on a project such as Catherine's Cupboard, or go and build a house for Habitat for Humanity, because often the time spent outside of the classroom with the athletes and other students tends to be more valuable than in classroom time per se. So I highly recommend that additional time between the students and the athletes, or the students and the professors.
I'm really glad that you said you wanted to mix faculty and student athletes on the same time. It would kind of get a little ugly, okay? If we had faculty on one hand and students on the other. So that was a good suggestion.
Free throw still looks good. I said your free throw still looks good.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You have him in classes as well?
Yeah. What he's referring to is I blew a free throw in the middle of a halftime game, and of course got kind of razzed, but that's okay. That's okay.
I have proof.
Hey, Jamie says, look at the picture of you missing a free throw during the halftime. I said, thank you very much, Amy. I'm glad you memorialized that. So, but those are fun things to do.
I thought about this a little bit. I have some students who integrate their academics and their athletics so beautifully that I didn't even know they were on the team. You know, and then all of a sudden I'm out there and I see it and I'm like, wow, that person's incredible. They're doing all this sports as well, and I couldn't even tell because they're in class, they're doing what they need to do, they're getting great grades. So one of the thoughts that I had might be a meet and greet where maybe all the teams for that semester are around the gym, and you could go in and just see everybody who's on, you know, the teams for that given semester. It might be a fun way just to see everybody all at once.
Do you have any other questions, Corey?
Was that the last one for you?
Yeah.
Okay, we get anything else to add at the end?
I have something to say. Coming from Post Falls, Idaho, out on the west coast, and coming out here to East and Domain particularly, I saw like a culture change in the school as well as my team. Some of my best friends, Ralph Wanch and Fabrice Iridua, are from Haiti and Rwanda, and just kind of seeing their like passion for it is so much different than where I've come from, where people like take for granted, and they're pushing their chemistry majors, bio majors, and seeing them balance sports along with their passion for the game and wanting to play nonstop, whether it's 6 in the morning or 12 at night, they just want to go nonstop. The culture change in St. Joe's is kind of the same way, where all the teams, it's not like cliquey, nobody's against each other, nobody dislikes each other, all the teams support each other, all the teams are there for each other, watching games, helping out. So I noticed that kind of different out here than where I was coming from.
I think I have something that it's more about my experience with athletes, but You know, one of the things that I really commend our student athletes on is, first of all, they're the only students on campus to have a dual role, right? So our expectation is, you know, we expect a lot of our student athletes. We're asking you to go out and represent St. Joe's and show everybody what we're made of, which is really commendable. And like everybody else has, you know, said, and I'd like to echo is, you know, I commend our coaching staff. You know, they take their student athletes very seriously, and when they say you are a student first, you know, they genuinely do mean that. You know, what I find with our student athletes when I meet with them and talk with them, they have such a diverse group of friends. You have this culture within athletics, which is really cool and exciting to see. But athletes are involved in so many different clubs and organizations, and you know, there's some that like to go to the Mercy Center, and they have friends that they're, you know, going on the service trips with and doing those kinds of things. But you know, then if I've seen this happen in the CAF, someone's sitting alone and they welcome them to join them and their friends. I mean, for me, it's really exciting to step back and see that be embraced by the entire campus community.
I do have one other piece as well. One of the questions we get often in the education department is, can a student teach and be an athlete? And that would certainly correlate with our nurses who are out doing practicums, and many of our students, frankly, who have full semester internships. That question always comes up, and I just want to note that we always make it work. I can't think of one student teacher or nurse that wasn't able to eventually play their sport and do what they wanted to do.
All right, well, thanks for taking the time to sit down and talk with us. I think this was, you know, great to be able to throw out some ideas and answer some questions about our student athletes here on campus.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.